Hey kiddos, I'm going to do a little more reading from Ribsy right now. Yesterday, I wanted you to think a little bit about a question when we left off. So before we start today, let's think about what was happening yesterday when we read. Yesterday, Ribsy had gone to a school where he was sure he would find Henry, but he hasn't been able to find Henry despite all the other boy smells that he's been smelling. I wonder how Ribsy and Henry are both feeling knowing that they're separated and that they've been separated for so long. And it must have been so frustrating for Henry to hear about another family having Ribsy when Ribsy's still not home. Let's continue with chapter 4. Sure enough, just as Ribsy expected, the three girls led him to a familiar place, a 2-story red brick school surrounded by a fenced-in asphalt playground. I know I read this part yesterday, but Nick and Joe were playing with the book, and clearly they changed the page that we were on. After noticing that the three girls left their lunches on a bench before they went off to play hopscotch, Ribsy put his nose to the ground and ran around the schoolyard, searching for the scent of Henry. He picked up many scents of boys and sneakers, but none of them had the exact scent of his Henry. Ribsy also picked up the scent of pot roast sandwiches once more, and this time he helped himself to what was in the lunch bag. That reminds me of Trot. He would eat anything. There was no use letting a perfectly good piece of meat go to waste when he had eaten so much fishy cat food lately. "Look!" squealed the owner of the pot roast sandwich. "That dog ate my lunch!" The chase was on. Everyone, boys and girls, big and little, chased Ribsy. He loved it. He hadn't had so much fun since he'd been lost. He ducked and dodged with the brown paper bag in his mouth. Sometimes, when he was far enough ahead, he dropped the bag a second, stood there panting, with a laughing look on his face, as if to say to the kids, "Catch me if you can." Then, when someone almost reached him, he snatched up the lunch and ducked and dodged some more. Finally, the yard teacher blew a whistle that hurt Ribsy's ears, and everyone stopped chasing him. "Here, doggy," coaxed the teacher. "Nice doggy." Ribsy eyed the teacher carefully, ready to run if she decided to chase him. Instead, she approached him slowly with her hand extended. "Nice doggy," she said. "Give us that lunch. Good boy." She was so friendly, Ribsy let her pet him and take the lunch back. "The poor dog is hungry," said the owner of the undamaged pot roast sandwich. "Well, I'll give him something out of my lunch," one kid said. A dozen lunch bags were soon opened. This tells me that those kids like dogs. Beverly Cleary didn't write a sentence that said that, but if all those kids heard that he was hungry and then they all opened their lunch boxes, that must mean they like dogs. "Now, children, you know dogs are not allowed on the school grounds." The teacher spoke in a mild voice because, after all, Ribsy was such a nice, friendly dog. No one seemed to hear her. Ribsy found himself being offered pieces of sandwiches, potato chips, carrot sticks, raisins, and cookies. He accepted the most appetizing bits to the delight of the givers, while those who brought their lunches in the cafeteria petted him and wished they had something they could feed him too. Ribsy could tell he was really going to like this place. When the bell rang, Ribsy went right into the school with the boys and girls and into the nearest classroom, which happened to belong to Mrs. Sonchek's second grade class. He looked around the room at desks and blackboards and at an empty aquarium on a ledge below a window. None of this was especially interesting to him. Then he walked into one door of the cloak room in the back, sniffed the lunches and wraps, and walked out the other door. Satisfied with his investigation, he flopped down near the back door and laid his nose on his paws. He had spent the night dozing in a cold garage, and he was glad for a chance to nap in a warm, dry place that smelled pleasantly of sneakers, lunch bags, boys, and girls. Imagine if a dog came into our classroom. It would be really, really, really exciting, but we wouldn't be able to let it stay. The 30 boys and girls of Mrs. Sonchek's second grade took their seats. That's just about double our class size, while Ribsy dozed off. Suddenly, he was awakened by the sound of 30 pairs of feet sliding out from under their desks and 30 boys and girls standing up. Everyone was going someplace, and Ribsy was not about to be left behind. He jumped to his feet, too. "I pledge allegiance," began the class, "to the flag of the United States." They all weren't going anywhere after all. After the flag salute, the class sat down. All but the 2 boys nearest Ribsy, who petted him in such a way that Ribsy knew he had somehow made them happy. A girl raised her hand. "Yes, Penny?" said the teacher. Mrs. Sonchek, there's a dog back here. And when we stood up for the Pledge of Allegiance, he stood up too. Penny was pleased to have announced this news to her whole class. Everyone turned in his seat to admire such a smart animal. Well, he must be a very patriotic dog, said Mrs. Sonchek pleasantly. And now, Danny, will you please take him outside? Reluctantly, with several backward glances, Ribsy allowed Danny to lead him outdoors, where the asphalt was cold and unfriendly, after a warm floor from the classroom. Ribsy looked sadly at the door that closed behind him, and the minute the milkman came to deliver the boxes of milk cartons, he slipped back inside, returned to the second grade room, and flopped down by the same door. Penny waved her hand. Mrs. Sonchek, that dog is back. We're going to stop here for right now, and in a little while I'm going to post some videos. I tried to make some with Joe. They didn't come out so good, but he was really impressed. I'm going to post some videos about some math things that you can do. I hope you're having fun. I know it's not that easy, and please remember, it's not that easy for moms and dads either. I have spent a lot of time in a lot of different zones over the last couple of days, even the red zone. Remember to use strategies. Remember to do things to help you change your zone. And remember, everyone's really dealing with the same kind of thing, so try your best to be your best. If you make a mistake, which we all do, I yelled at Nick and Joe yesterday, just say you're sorry. Hope you're having a great time, and hopefully the rain will stop soon so we can get back outside and play. Miss you guys.